5 Alkire. Always amazed to me the number of trucks and railroad cars in this yard.
Yeah.
Fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is Monterey Park, where he is?
This is
Yeah. So I didn't recognize it. You really like the Mercury, eh?
Yep.
It's nice.
You like it?
Yeah.
Well, right now, there's no way of riding on it because the diesel is...
No, I'm talking about Leo's.
Oh, Leo's. Oh, Leo's. I thought you were talking about...
This is full size.
Is that enough light for you?
Yeah.
It's a darn shame it's boxed in like that, but that's the only place I got stored. This other light plug. The boiler is made out of rolled up sections all welded together just like the big ones, and it's made exactly to the same dimensions, scaled down as the big one. It's got a tapered section. See, a lot of the fellows these days, they just use a straight tube and then they dummy up the outside to make it look like
fancy,
it's tapered.
yeah, give the extra
But
size.
this boiler is made just exactly like the big one, rolled up in sections, and a conical section,
Then
the big
joined
section,
together.
and all welded together. I did all the welding right here,
Beautiful.
right in my own shop.
That is a work of
This
art.
thing, that door, that's just
Yeah.
exactly the prototype. That's the way they did it. Come on, open up.
This is what, a 464, isn't it?
I know.
Yeah, any idea how many hours it took you
Oh
to
yeah,
build
I
it?
kept track of that. The total locomotive and the two riding cars, the locomotive and the tender and riding cars took 10,500 hours to build, and there's 3,000 hours of engineering drawing time. I got about 400 drawings I made on the thing from prototype drawings. Now these windows here all actually work. They all got real glass on them. They slide up and down with little handles on them. The little vent pane works, and so they slide back and forth. So you close up all the windows. And the lettering on the tender is genuine gold leaf, and the lettering here is gold leaf. 24 karat gold, just like the original. So I got it out for storage so I can turn the wheels ever so often and make sure it's not frozen up.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that is beautiful.
Steel formed around a form block, you know, like an orange peel, and then all the segments curled down and then welded together and ground and steamed on the same way. So, and all these things, there's no castings except on the wheels.
Yeah.
Everything else is hauled out, and the cylinder block is not a casting. It was all made out of bits and pieces, all welded up.
But how many years did it take?
7.5 years. To fuse it a hair.
What do you run out at your place in the desert? What sort of?
Oh, I'll show you some pictures of that. That's quite a layout out there. It's quarter size narrow gauge. 9-inch gauge track with quarter size cars. The cars are about that wide. You sit down inside them.
Is it steam or?
It's 2 steams and 2 diesel. He just gave us stuff, you know. He was a contractor, dealt with pipe and stuff like that.
Did he have any?
And Joe was the one that furnished the pictures to the Japanese mag, and so then he brought some copies over here and passed them around to guys in our club, you know, while we're having a meeting, and I'm flipping through, and here in the centerfold, 2 pages, all pictures of my locomotive. Ah! That says, so it made the front cover of Model Engineer in color. So this actually featured, I've your picture in proper mechanics, and hey, how about that? Somebody in the family made good. And I said, well, I made a lot more fame in the model business than I ever did in the aircraft business. The aircraft business, as soon as I leave, I'm a nobody. The model business, the guy came up from Johannesburg, South Africa on a business trip. 2 things he wanted to see. He didn't want to see Disneyland. He wanted to see the track out at Griffith Park, and he wanted to see my locomotive. So I said, well, does it meet your expectation? Oh, it looks even better than I thought it would.
What's this about, a 5?
For 1/8 size.
Yeah.
1/8 size, we figured out, is actually 1/7.5.
Yeah.
Not 1/8.
Yeah.
So some of the guys say, the heck with this crap of having to widen out the wheels compared to the boiler and so forth. We're going to make everything bigger and use 1.6 and make everything fit so that when you scale it down.
You at Rockwell?
What?
You complained about my smoking cigarettes, and I said, oh, Doug, you smoke steam engines.
Now, the anymore. But the coal smoke is just as bad as cigarettes.
Yeah. But you're out in the open doing that, right?
Well, you're out in the open, but you still get a whiff of
Yeah,
it, and it still has the same effect. I mean, it makes me cough and hack, and my voice goes out on me and everything else.
Well, that's all part of the pleasure of smoking.
Well, okay, so is cancer.
Yeah.
I had a cousin of mine that just died. She's about, maybe, she just couldn't give it up. She couldn't stop.
My dad was that way.
And the doctor says, if you just quit, we could make you live a little while. No, I enjoy that, and I'm going to keep smoking right up to the minute I die. And she did. She was smoking one last cigarette just before she died. She was so hooked that she just absolutely couldn't stop, no matter what.
My dad was that way. He hated it, but he couldn't give it up.
Yeah,
He was
some
3 packs a
people-
day, and
some
he ended
people
up with
really
lung cancer.
Yeah, that's right.
And other than that, he had kept himself in perfect condition. It was a shame.
It is a shame.
And he always admitted it was a dirty habit.
He's having trouble breathing, you know, and he'd get all choked up, and finally the doctor told him, well, it's the secondhand smoke that the kid's inhaling. So Bill said, gee, if it's having that effect on my kid, I'm gonna quit. And he said he had all the tough withdrawal symptoms and so forth, but he said he'd think of his kid every time. And then he says that made it easy. He says, now I've been away from him for 10 years, and he says, it doesn't. I was a heavy smoker and a heavy drinker. And the doctor says, you gotta give up both of them or you're gonna die. And we all told him, hey Merrill, why don't you give up smoking and drinking there? You're gonna kick off. Well, I enjoy those things, and by gad, he says, life wouldn't be worth living if I do without him, so I'm gonna keep right on doing it. And he did, and boy, he died. And pretty young, too.
Shame, innit?
I mean, he just said, well, I wouldn't enjoy life if I had to give those up, so
I
I'm gonna
guess,
keep on doing
yeah,
it.
yeah, some people feel that way, don't they?
And he had no intention of giving up,
Yeah.
never for 1 minute. And his wife died of lung cancer from.
Gave me a break.
Oh yeah.
And the Rockwell was hard as nails.
Where's the photo of the
Come back in night.
This looks like that's a different one, I think. Yeah, no, I don't know. Yeah, it's different. It's got more of the real track shape, see?
Yeah.
My road car hope. I'm going to put a short length of track in the backyard.
Youngest granddaughter.
Right, Jacqueline. What do you gotta do? Now let's see what Doug's gonna do. Is this worth it?
Well.
Oh, God.
I'll let you guys take a look at some photos. See that album?
That's a beautiful painting you got up there on the wall.
Yeah, that was done by a pretty famous artist. I commissioned him to do the thing, and I got it for a song compared to what it's worth
I
now.
don't have any kids in my place, and I got it all over my floor.
Well.
I'm a book nut, and I never get through them all.
Yeah.
That's where I was this morning. I went to look,
Oh.
someone had some old books for sale.
Oh.
I roared down there. They
Well,
did, they weren't old.
Yeah, get for watering of the lawn,
Uh-huh.
and got over the sidewalk, and it's frozen solid.
Yeah, it was somewhere this morning we were warning people on the radio that one of the off-ramps, it sprinkled, it was
Yeah.
frozen.
Contract, and that's okay. You get publication rights. If you ever have a need for this being OP7, you can have it published and get all the royalties, and I cannot take it out and print it and sell it.
Yeah.
I'm prohibited.
Yeah.
He's got to copyright it, and he owns the copyright. But that's one of a kind, and you know, there's other dodos in our club, none of them would go for getting their own engines painted.
That is really,
was
I mean,
cheap
you
enough.
look at the amount of work that a guy had to put
And
into
his
that.
wife
You
said,
know, all
"Boy,"
that
she
detail,
said-
right?
She said, well, he did it for $300, and I thought that was very reasonable.
I don't know how a guy could do it for
And
that.
his wife
time.
says,
See if I can get an idea of what the article's about here. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
Alkire should several demonstrations taking place later this morning. Also about new driving in these areas. Pasadena, in Pasadena, on Garfield near the City Hall, that'll be at noon. Downtown LA, also at City Hall at 11 o'clock. And in Westwood, the Veterans Administration Pavilion at 5 at the Sawtelle. This at 10 o'clock this morning. Keep those kitchen pans looking their best.
I'd like to run away, but I just
She was working at a diner. Now she's packed her blue jeans and her favorite cowboy boots. Left her apron at the diner. Seemed just like it never had. She's got a one-way ticket on the way across the border.
There's the story.
On Sunday morning, so we
This is the only way.
Hour we have a classic that was the #1 history and is considered one of the, if not the most successful black country music performer ever lived.
And the kids are all in vain. And the woman and the woman Lord, give me the eye.
570.
Well, I went to a country road down the street. The people down there eat like wild geese. I'm on. One had a bushel, the other had a peck. One had a roast near tied around his neck. Hello, Sal, I know you. With a run-down slipper and a tore-up shoe, I'm on the way. I'm going back.
That it was earlier, but it's a lot better now. Good news on that solo spin-out in Pasadena. It looks like that's been cleared off the right shoulder, but we got several problems still in Orange County. 55, that's a Newport 3.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's in there. He'll be out in a minute.
I just installed that new engine. The old engine was an old Rio that was about 50 years old, and it threw a rod. And Bill tried for a year and a half to get the thing fixed, and I kept telling him, I said, Bill, why don't you just buy a new engine for it? Got that old dog, you know, that's worn out and you can't get parts for it. No, I can get it fixed. Well, a year and a half of trying. So he finally gave up, bought a new engine, which he should have done in the first place. And it turned out that the engine mounts are exactly the same on the old as they are on this
How
one.
about
Match
that?
perfectly. I mean,
Lucky.
it was a standard that it lasted for 50 years. I was amazed. Set the thing down, the old mounts, hook it up, and away we went. This is a monster here.
Oh, I remember that little film.
Bill, I said, get some of this quick start stuff, ether, and we just squirt it in the carburetor and it'll start.
Right.
With our rail cars.
Yeah.
One of the guys with a rail car had one of those on it.
Yeah, you get several of them.
Yeah, he had one just like this one now.
Yeah, old
Something
antique.
front, a little light bulb in it.
There's a model that he built of a tower that he wanted to put up on the loop.
Yeah.
And I said, well, that's a hell of a waste of money. We need rail. I want to use a tower up there because the tower's going to cost you a couple of $1,000 for material plus a lot of labor. Yeah, what purpose are you going to? Well, they look nice. So it looks something you can walk on that you don't trip over, that will work, that'll be easy to operate. Okay. So instead of having a lift-up lever that you pull out of a notch and then turn it and then set down another notch, which you cannot mechanize with an electric motor because it's too damn hard to do the lift-up and turn and realize. They wanted something that would just be an automatic lock-in no matter where. So I put this over-center lever on here. The over-center and the spring, no matter how hard you push, it just tries to make the lever bottom out more, either way. See, it's spring-loaded. switch the spring to let the thing through. Then it'll go back to its original position. So that means it doesn't derail something coming through. Another advantage of spring loading is that when you fit the points up closed, and if a rock or something gets in there, it doesn't louse up the mechanism. You know, I mean, it just pushes back against the spring. So if you had a solid mechanism, you'd have to fit it perfectly, and expansion allows you up. So the spring load does a lot for it. We loaded.
You got plenty of over travel there.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of over travel.
That's smart.
We got lots of over travel. See, the throw is only on this one an inch. We've got an 1.25 inch throw. So there's an 1/8 inch over travel on each side.
Good.
Plus the fact that the spring.
I think you make a good engineer.
See, this thing is an assessment for the spring compression. This is the mechanism that latches it on. So the two separate adjustments. In other words, you can change the spring tension without changing this position in it. Well, it moves a little bit because actually it centers itself. But
That's very nice.
anyhow, I worked my butt off designing the thing and trying to keep it simple. And this thing, when you get it rigged up, then you put in a little pivot pin or bolt, with a little sleeve on it, and then here. So that when the switch is on the main line, it's straight, and when you throw it, it pivots on that thing so that it goes that way to indicate that the thing has turned out. So I thought it was a pretty good design, and I've made, oh yeah, probably $100 for LALS, and I use the same design up here.
Good.
This thing is a shear brace to keep the thing
That's right.
from going sideways, because this thing just parallelogram, and
That's right.
so I just welded that thing up rather than make a solid thing. He had about half done when he died, and Harker finished it up, but there were some things about it that didn't work out too well. So Matt Swain and David Rohr, a couple of pretty smart guys. Matt works for Lockheed, and David worked in one of the studios, ABC, as a carpenter, and then later as a foreman of a model shop.
Some smart fella made a pilot for you.
Oh, I think that was done by David. He does a lot of good woodwork. That's made out of solid oak.
That is nice.
They take the steam dome off and set it aside, you know.
Yeah.
It's laying around here somewhere. I didn't know whether he had a tender built or not.
No, didn't even got back to a lot of the locomotive done.
Well, the thing had a boiler. The pictures I saw had the
No
boiler
boiler.
man.
No
Oh
boiler.
yeah, he had a copper boiler.
Well,
on
then
the
she
thing.
hasn't sent me everything then.
That's right, because
That's
it
all,
had a,
that's all she shows.
no,
right?
no, I've seen pictures of it.
There, right there.
It's narrow here, and if you don't watch it, it derails and stuff.
Yeah. What duplicates? I just threw them all in there. I never do that. Yeah, sure, it'd be nice if you got room. Yeah. Okay. Why not put a big photographic issue?
Okay. Worn out, and it just burned oil like mad. It blew out smoke like you wouldn't believe. See, he's got a belt driving a generator which charges the batteries, two batteries in series. And I believe, I'm not sure, it seemed to me, oh, this is an electric motor that runs the air compressor for the air brakes. It's just a separate little deal. It runs off the battery. And this thing then generates the power to run the engines or the motors, I mean, on the axles on the trucks. They've got.
Is there one this style then? I've never seen a.
Well, this is supposed to be a copy of an actual big one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
Called the M1. That's a nice tank car.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
That actually holds water, and it's got a spigot, so you can use it for carrying water down to the site. And there's his bottom dump.
Yeah, gauge.
Yeah.
He bought them already made
Oh yeah.
like that. He was
Well,
showing
nobody
me.
makes this size. This is 9-inch.
Yeah, that's what I wondered.
This is all custom-made stuff, all made from
Oh,
scratch.
as well, good.
Yeah, Pulaski had to make his own pack.
Yeah.
So on. Now there's the other steam locomotive sitting
Yes.
over there. That's the first one.
This rail's been around for a while.
Oh, that's old mining rail. You wanna take the key over and I guess the stop is along the side.
We're gonna walk the track?
After I finished the other go,
Yeah.
and what the guy did, he pulled out all the Joshua trees and made a pasture out of it.
Oh.
And then after the cattle ranching operation's over, then the bushes started growing up, and the Joshuas never came back. And these trees here, these big tall trees, have all been.
Nice.
That's a nice piece of property.
No idea it'd be like this.
Now you can see it. Now that's we made up under why I cut it, you'll see. But this was a private car that Bill had a guy make up for him. It isn't finished yet, it doesn't have trucks on it. I don't know if he'll ever use it even.
What, the locomotive, is the locomotive easy to push or?
Well, not really.
Hey, that's perfect, thank you.
Action shots.
Yeah.
So quiet.
Forgot to switch it up.
You do that.
Would be the point of it.
They
More
have
fun,
got some small steam, haven't they? Something
more
like-
fun riding it.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty hard on steam because see the big problem with radio control, if it's steam, you can't watch the water glass.
So you can actually ride a person in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. People get down inside that, and in fact, we can show you later if you want to see it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, he got some real good.
Yeah. Well, how often do you run these?
Oh, he has.
Well, I'm doing, actually physically going into work the first week of April, but I've got 416 hours of vacation. That'll take me to my anniversary date in June, see. So,
Well, I've been retired. Well, in just a few days, I'll start my 7th year of retirement from Rockwell.
you like job shopping? I said, no. When I come out, walk out of here, I'd probably go, I got so many to do. Like, you know, I've been moving earth in the back with a wheelbarrow. I've moved tons of it.
Yeah,
From
I
one
have
spot,
too.
made that. Yep.
When you jump up and
Oh, this
kick
is
your heels
nice.
together, this place grows on you, believe me.
Oh, it's,
It really
you know, I
grows
had
on
no
you.
idea. I was trying to vid.
They said, hellfire, you were probably lousy ballast in here that yourself right about on the ground. So, then we latch it.
Terrific.
And then there's a curved bridge up above the house that we'll see going down, and at the end of the curved bridge, that was as far as they had it laid, and everything since then has been done by me and other people helping out. Now we came up here one time for a run, and in the morning a bunch of us guys got busy and we dug 100 feet of road bed in just a half a day. Then we ran the last half of the day, but we did 100 feet of road bed, and Pulaski was just absolutely flabbergasted. He says, my God, 100 feet in just a half a day, I can't believe it.
Was it an easy 100 foot though?
Well, it was right along in here.
You're really digging it.
The switch here on around the hill.
Yeah, yeah.
The rock up there was an aborted attempt at making a swimming pool. It was the biggest disaster. The guy didn't know anything about concrete work. He kept doing it in little sections, and he didn't get any decent bonding between the sections. So if he'd ever fill it with water, it would just leak like a sieve. Yeah. Then he ran out of drive and abandoned the idea, so there it sits.
Yeah.
And that plastic pipe is how the water comes down from the artesian well, which is up by a bunch of trees. There's trees up the draw there across the stream.
Talking about over 5 years?
That's right. So he had to feed half of the water to the new
Yeah,
center.
that's right.
Being
He was
nice to him, he lost half his water.
Yeah.
Yeah, construction.
Yeah, he was a
That's
construction
right.
guy. He-
Freeway construction.
Right? He
and
gave
that's
he
him.
right away, and so he goes on up and passes. Then this guy pulls on out into the.
It really is exciting.
I stole a little bit of track off the end of the line up here a while back to finish those two switches because we were completely out of rail. Needs widening, I think. In fact, these two find it.
That's a pretty shot right through here.
Well, it's even more fun when you get a train on the rail. This rail weighs a half a pound per foot, and it's costing, even in wholesale quantities, $2.25 a pound. So that's $1 and something per foot. Each rail. Angle iron's a heck of a lot cheaper than that. This all needs reballasting too. I've done some of it up here where it came back and rolled it. So it just doesn't get done. And you can't get anybody else to do it. Because nobody else would be up there. He was doing some pipeline work. He's putting in a we don't use pipeline anymore. Guys are cut out because that's a place where a guy could reach up underneath and work on the engine.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we've got a track out there with a roundhouse that we work on, but originally this was done for a workplace. Are there earlier, and he said there's this guy up in Sierra Madre's got a 9-inch gauge track. You ought to get up there and see it. You know, he's got a diesel locomotive and a steam locomotive that he's building. He's got some track in his backyard, and I was busy at LALS right then. I didn't have any time to go out and look. And this guy kept telling me, why don't you go up and see this guy's layout? Well, I kept stalling it off for 20 years, and finally Bud Whitmer down at our LALS track, oh, you ought to get up there and see Pulaski's track in the desert. I thought it was up at Sierra Madre. Oh, no, he's moved it. He's got a place up in the desert now. So I said, well, how do you get up there? So he gave me instruction on how to find it. In fact, I guess he gave me Pulaski's name and address, and I wrote to him. And then he sent me a little map how to get up here, you know, and so I came up on a Saturday right immediately after Thanksgiving in 1960. Well, that was the first of the Thanksgiving weekend meets. Yeah. And every year from then on, he would have an open house every Thanksgiving weekend on Saturday. But that one, when my wife and kids and I came up, was the very first one. That's when I started coming up here and on a steady basis every 2 weeks. And a friend of mine got interested, so I started changing rides with him. I'd drive one time, he'd drive the next time to cut the cost down. And the two of us really put that bridge together mostly and laid all the rail on it and all the ties and stuff. And the surveyor had his transit lined up. So he would tell us when the rail was a little bit, he'd say, come on over this way a little bit and move it a quarter of an inch or eighth of an inch or whatever, and he was shooting it in straight, but the damn earth has shifted, now it's wiggly a little bit. Yeah. Even though he didn't know about water. I found out later that water softens that stuff up.
Well, that's why, you know, even now, I'm digging this.
And he wanted to know how to build a bridge, and he says, I want to put the thing on 16-foot centers for supports. And I said, well, then we put the 4x6s up on edge so you have a 4x12 in effect. And I said, the thing to do is take these long bridge spikes that you got it from an old railroad culvert. A friend of his went out and bought the whole thing from railroad. And he brought all the wood up here. So I said, then we put a lot of spikes near each end. That has the most effect on taking the shear. If you put them in the middle, it don't do any good because the ends will just slip, you know, and it curves. And I said, you put them near the end. And he said, gee, I never thought about that. And I said, well, that's the aircraft express way of doing it, that's all.
No, that's the mechanical design.
Right, mechanical design. So I checked it out, and I used the old equations, you know, for deflection. So we'll allow an eighth of an inch in the middle with the load of the engine, distributed load, 100 pounds per foot, because that's about what the thing would weigh with the loaded train car, and you put the thing together and it works fine. If you jump up and down on it, you can make it spring a little bit, but when the train goes across, it feels real steady. Yeah. Because the train doesn't make any bounce. You know, just ease across. From here, it froze that night, and it kept the concrete from setting upright. So it took. You know, some people can't go across that bridge, even riding the train. They get real dizzy. They get out and walk down the bottom of the gorge.
I dig in. They're not as wide as yours, see?
Oh, they dig in?
Yeah, they're just a little too narrow.
Well, these are fine. They get big,
Yeah,
thick
that's,
toes.
that's what I should have brought if
walk
I'd have
on
thought,
the
had my
guardrail and
head
stuff.
screwed on right.
Here's one of the firewater bottles. There's water in it now. Oh, yeah. That's right. Like the fire bucket. It's raining there, too. And the engine's up about here. Yeah, the propane let go. That's some of the stuff. And then it was going underground, through the roots. We had to get shovels, and you know, one of the guys ran up to the house and got some shovels and brought them down here, and we had to dig the doggone roots out to put the fire out.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was way back, about 1978. Well, soft when it gets wet.
Yeah.
It'll crumble, but clay, when you make ballast out of it, leave the rocks in it, and boy, it really gets hard. It's all on top. Now this is where I'd laid a lot of track all on the side. So I look up there, and around that curve, just before you get to the cut, diesel run by Tom Lexus is there, and he's going like a bat out of hell. That idiot going so fast for? Well, what happened was the coupler became uncoupled up on the long bridge, and Pulaski was riding on the car with the dog. Well, they found out it was running free just before he got to the long bridge, so they bailed out. And then Tom was chasing the car, trying to catch it and recouple it. And so Pulaski hollered at me. He was clear over the hill, and so I ran over under that tree. And this thing came roaring down the track at least 30 miles an hour, just going like a bat out of so-and-so, and the track ended right about here, you know, the rails. So this thing came along, and it whacked into that work car, and it kicked it down about 50 feet down into the dirt before it finally stopped. And of course, everything, and the cut was only about that wide. Here we are with a big load of dirt inside of a hopper car, and a cut that's just barely wide enough for it, and way off the track. Had to dig all the dirt out, put it in a wheelbarrow, haul it out, and get the car out by muscle power and get it back up on the track. It broke the beam off the end and broke the coupler all to pieces. Gee, what a disaster. So we've had some exciting times up here with runaway 4 cars and so on.
Someone else like
Yeah, that's a concrete place there. Here is the one that I dug. A lot of it was rounder. That's fairly soft dirt, so I was able to dig that. Not too much pick and shovel work, but and the crane sat over here. You had to be this far back. This is heavy stuff.
Is this where the guy lives up here?
No, he just comes up and works on the thing.
No, I mean that's his house, though, is it? There? This looks like a house right here.
Yeah, there's a house right
That's
there.
their house, is it, Compton?
Well, that's his old place. He's building another house up to the behind the bushes. We've lost several of them that way.
You drive up and so there's what he down there.
About a third done when Pulaski died. The track ended up there back in the line. And so when Pulaski died, so that's one thing we have to keep in mind. You know, there's solid concrete road bed. We mix the cement up in a wheelbarrow with a hole. Just so the dirt is in there, just look pretty. But the thing is actually sitting on a solid concrete base. It ain't gonna wash out.
Yeah?
Because I've had tunnel experience in LA, and they just got a dirt base there. So this is permanent. So that's the other inside. We just felt like it was like a solid cement tank.
Get your wife's fingernail polish.
Oh, I can get some red paint up there and paint it. But see now, the arrow shows that it's set for turnout position. So what it got, and then when he goes into Y, that switch is automatically set, so he just comes out going back up. This is a tricky switch because it's turned both ways.
Yeah.
And one of them is a natural 60-foot radius on the track coming this way. The other one is a 60-foot radius going out. And that's a tricky type of switch to build. That in there. And I haul dirt with it too. See, those are all my pick marks that you see on the wall there. Boy, that's hard work. 5 picks and when my heart would slow down from 150 beats a minute to about 60, that's normal, and I'd start picking again. Another 5 picks.
Was easier?
Huh?
I was doing that on mine. I'd
Still had to pick it to get the rocks out because a lot of the rocks were buried in there. And some of them pretty good size, some of them that big around. And I had to use a pick to break them loose.
Yeah.
See, you got topsoil at the top. The first 18 inches, all topsoil.
Yeah.
And then from there on down, it's all alluvial fill. Lord knows how many millions of years ago that was formed.
I can just see one day they're going to go right through the mountain here and come out the other side. Tunnel through.
Somebody else can do that. You know, picking inside of a hole like that isn't easy.
No, no.
There's no room to swing the pick.
Yeah.
Chris Simrow wanted to build this thing, and we thought about having an old dummy mine here years ago, and so he finally started working on it.
That's really nice. God,
This is all slough off that has to be hauled out.
Yeah. Well, it looks good though for the wood and the
Yeah, it looks authentic.
Yeah.
He picked this old rusty shovel up and a pick at some darn junkyard, you know, and the old rope.
Yeah.
He figured it would look very authentic.
Couple of bottles. Blasting caps.
Well, he's gonna.
Get a shot of you guys back down there, give us an idea.
Isn't that amazing? How that thing gets started? It's probably a root from something up above.
Yeah.
Because no seed could get itself stuck in the tree, and it keeps dropping seeds.
Yeah.
And they sprout, and as soon as I see them sprouting, I pull them out because I don't want unwanted palm trees growing around the garden. But I pull them out. The whole idea of the spring load is so when the tree comes through, that forces the switch to open up.
Yeah.
And then as soon
I
as
get a shot of that?
1.25 high channel iron.
You know, you must have put a lot of wood into here.
Mine with a 27 horsepower diesel tractor came up and roughed this out. That helped a lot.
Yeah.
This is all hard red clay here. And the track layout was based on telling the guys who did the survey work. Oh, that's what they had in mind. See it in real life, don't you?
Yeah, really.
Isn't that a lovely sight there where the track goes between those two Joshuas?
Oh, yeah.
That's another one of my favorite spots. Joshua trees. We won't take out any Joshuas if we can help it. Loop. This doesn't serve any purpose except turnout will come over here. In other words, there'll be a line that will run through here. I'm not doing it very well, am I? I'm doing a lousy job. More like that, yeah. That's a little more accurate. And then the other one will be come straight for a few feet, then it'll start to curve and come through that stake there.
I see.
So that'll be one of the switches. The other one will be down there on the straightaway. Down to the station.
Oh, I see. You are going in there.
Hmm?
You are getting the train down there. That's nice.
Oh yeah. That's the return track where the trains will come back up to the main line after they make the loop. It's going around the outside. There's a, I think, 100-foot radius on one of them and about a 78 foot on the other one. Something like that, 75 or 78, I don't remember the exact number. But this one is 60 foot here. And that's the stake for it. And that starts over there by the switch and it's just 6 foot all the way around.
This will be nice when it's done.
But this will be a little different type of scenery. Then there's going to be a straight line spur coming off of here and another switch right there. So trains can come into the station and park and let the other trains go on by. So where we are right now, we're standing right about here.
I see. I get it. Well, I guess that would be all it takes. Then how long do you think it would take you?
Well, I would hope that we could get it done this year. Depends on how many trips I can make up here. But I've got to finish digging all that cut, you know, and that's all by hand. Depends on how my health holds up and so on. But the track itself is going to be 1,300 feet of track. And that takes some time to lay down to this stake right here. And that's the end of the 2%. From here on, it's flat. Or actually, it's a transition.
Bob.
Well, he might have gone back up the house because we were coming down out of the Y, and then he went on ahead, and that's the last I saw him.
Oh, I didn't know he didn't come down here.
Well, he might have gone back up to the house.
Yeah.
Well, looks like you got your pipe in.
Oh yeah, I'm getting it almost covered. You know, I was thinking, you say that dirt over there is not suitable for ballast.
No, it's just
If you clean it out,
too sandy.
okay, good.
I've never figured out how you do editing on those things. I guess you have to use a pause button on the one that has original tape, or pause on the one you're recording on to cut out the bad sections.
Yeah.
It's battery powered, and when we have meet up here, well, they hook the battery up, and every time a train comes along. There, Bob. Or did you?
You walked to the end.
Oh, you did?
Enjoy that walk around the track.
Sunset on Malibu, or a suntan in Maui. So rent a sporty Ford Escort from Burris with free unlimited miles for just $79 a month in Florida and $99 in California and Hawaii. Off good advertising.
From the lakes of Minnesota, there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA.
570 Classic Country KLAC Lee Greenwood's God dinner. That's something you must watch.
You want a prime rib and scampi dinner for just $12.95?
Oh, sis, Wendy, I love the way you love meals when you enjoy
You mean my choice of super salad, baked potato, or rice pilaf and seafood?
Yes, Wendy, and right now the prime rib and scampi dinner is only $12.95.
Do you love me that much?
Only at Albany Steakhouse and Fresh Seafood Grill, Wendy, plus hand. Wendy.
There's something I have to tell you. The problem started this morning. I got my hearing up at the couch. And, well, I was trying to get it in the super
is sending an expert cleanup crew to deal with that massive oil spill in the Persian Gulf. That's the word from Pentagon spokesman Pete Williams.
The president has directed an interagency team from the U.S. government, a team of oil pollution and environmental experts, to go to the Persian Gulf. The team will be led by the U.S. Coast Guard,
8 miles wide. That Kuwaiti crude continues to wash up along the Saudi coast, fouling everything in its way. AP photographer Greg English got a look at what the oil is.
Yeah, there's oil further down the beaches. There's big pools of oil. You know, from earlier when it was high tide. Yeah, it's a mess.
Barriers have been erected to protect the Saudi plants that process fresh drinking water for the country, but Iraq is still dumping more oil into the Gulf. Iraq has launched more missile attacks against Israel and Saudi Arabia. AP's Arthur Max is in Tel Aviv.
Well, we heard the air raid sirens that have now become very familiar over Israel. We've had 5 attacks so far.